We are here because we know the outcomes in our lives are within our control. That taking absolute ownership of how we eat, sleep, train, think, and connect with each other is how we'll optimize our health and happiness. That chasing excellence is how we grab hold of what is possible. Our mission is to live on the run, always chasing, never stopping. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chasing Excellence. How are you, Ben?
I'm doing excellent, Patrick. Thank you.
Fantastic. Today we are returning to our HopperTalk format. HopperTalk is when I source relatively random questions from the internet, often from Reddit, and use it as an excuse to kind of have a free-form conversation with you to see where you and I agree, where we disagree, and to have a little bit of fun. So we've got 5 questions, as we often do. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. First question. What relatively popular thing do you genuinely not understand? I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, there's one, I have a real answer, but that what you just said popped another one is I don't understand the popularity of Reddit. Like that, like,
Yep.
where I don't understand it at all, actually, where you just go in and you just like, it's like you gossip on the internet. I don't know. It seems what it is. But my real answer is, well, it's kind of celebrity gossip. Like the fact that there's like magazines dedicated to just like, what did Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner have for breakfast?
Jennifer Lopez.
I don't know who he's married to anymore. Like this is Jennifer Lopez. Was he ever married to Jennifer Garner?
Yeah, previously.
Yeah. He likes Jennifer's.
Yeah.
Ben and Jens. Ben and the Jens. So that's the biggest one for me is like celebrity gossip as a whole. Like I just like, who's dating who, you know, people are like, did you hear that so-and-so got divorced? It's like, I don't know. It's like, I don't see the attraction to celebrities in general, and certainly not in terms of like anything that doesn't have a meaning on real life.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not even gossip. Maybe it's celebrity status, period. Like I just don't really, it doesn't do a whole lot for me. The celebrity thing.
Yeah. Mine's similar, but what I started thinking about with this question, and I think it's a worthwhile exercise, and so I'll kind of throw it out there to see, like one of the things that oftentimes when we say like, oh, like I don't get that. I don't understand that. A lot of times I feel like it is possible to at least understand intellectually why somebody might be into that thing. Right. And so I started like, as I was coming up with an answer to this, I was like, the first thing that came into mind, similar to your Reddit thing, is just TikTok. Like I don't, but then I was
that's
like, okay,
the default answer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, I don't think it's that I don't genuinely understand why that's popular. I don't think I just genuinely care in the same way that other people do. And I think Reddit is similar to that. Like I can get myself, again, intellectually, I can get myself to a place where like, oh, I understand why 15 to 20 second videos ad nauseum forever of people dancing or singing or like, I get why that distraction is enjoyable. I just choose not to engage in it, but I can understand it. And so as I started to think about the list of things that I would answer to this question, I was like, oh, okay, I kind of understand that. Like one of the answers I had originally was like just cynicism. Like I genuinely don't understand that. But then it's like, I guess I understand why that's, I guess I understand why people choose as much as they feel like they're choosing to be cynics or to be cynical. And so I kept crossing things off the list. And then one I came to where I genuinely don't understand the popularity is similar to yours, but it's reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you think about like, okay, like I get, I just want to be distracted. I don't want to think about things. I want to, you know, whatever, disengage from work and life and whatever. But then I was like, okay, but there are so many more things that you could do that have some shred of use or value or entertainment, something that is not Bravo reality shows.
So you just lumped in forget about like just I don't understand Bravo. My daughter watches The Bachelor and The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't understand that. Like, right. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
You know, as you're talking about, you know what, like, and you were like, I just can't, like, I like that. Like I can sort of understand that. I can sort of understand. You know what else I just can't understand the popularity of? Like
What?
light, crappy beer. It's so bad. Like Coors Light or Bud Light or Natty Light. Like,
Yep.
how would somebody ever like? How is that a thing? Like, how does like I can sort of understand like people that into like IPAs or like the stouts or the Guinnesses or but the other like the really cheap crappy beers, they're I don't get it. We're gonna lose half of our listeners that are like, no, it's the best. But
Yeah.
all the people that are
But so do you not get
drinking
it
Bud
because they
Lights, watching The Bachelorette, scrolling through TikTok, reading People magazine,
and Reddit?
and Reddit, right?
So do you not? So I don't drink. I don't drink anything, but I especially don't drink beer. Is it because the taste is like
Yeah, no, it's because of the taste.
not
It's
any good?
terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, especially
Okay.
maybe it's because I was like that's what I drank in college, and I can just remember like drinking sometimes like it warm, and it's like it's I'm scarred.
So now that you have a choice of something other than light beer, you don't
I
understand
just
why
don't
some people
understand
choose
light beer
light beer.
anymore. Yeah. Besides, I guess that's
I was just reading.
but like you see people that aren't like that have the means drinking it. And I just can't get
Like
like
choosing.
coming home and be like, oh, I can't wait to have my Coors Light. Oh,
I was just reading. It was in a big surprise, a branding positioning book, and I was reading about like when they first came out. I think it was Miller Lite. I don't remember exactly what the first kind of light
yeah.
beer was. And the idea was they came up with this new category of beer, right? There are all these beers. They were trying to figure out how can we make something that is different enough that we kind of get to create our own category. And the idea was like diet beer.
Yeah. Right.
And like can't call it diet beer, so they called it. I think it was Miller Lite. I don't think it was Coors Light. I think it was Miller Lite. But the pitch or the marketing was the idea that it's light beer, it's diet beer. So because you love beer so much, you can drink more of it now.
Tastes great, less filling. That was their tagline. That was the slogan.
Yeah.
Tastes great. Remember it was like, do you remember those commercials where like had half the stadium would chant like tastes great?
Oh, I vaguely
and the other
do.
half
Yeah.
would go, less filling. Tastes great.
Yeah.
Less filling.
But it's funny. It's just the same marketing as like so much health food. It's
Well,
like
that's actually like
or
tastes great,
it's
less
gluten
filling.
free, so eat more of it.
Tastes great, less filling could be the tagline for any processed food.
Yeah.
Like that's what processed food is. It tastes great and it doesn't fill you up, so you have more of it.
Yeah, so you get to eat more of it or drink more of it. Yep. Yeah. There you go. Light beer and reality TV and Reddit,
Bravo.
and TikTok and
Celebrities.
and Bravo. I love this. I think the first time we did this, we ended up just talking like old men.
Basically, what this is instead of HopperTalk, it's like
brought us back
like two old grumpy. It's like grumpy old men episode.
Grumpy old men. All right, we'll leave that one be. Next question: what should be free?
You go first.
I'll go first on this one. Okay, so what should be free? What I came to think was what I think should be free is high-speed internet at home. I think access to high-speed internet is good or bad. The internet is good or bad. We can have that debate. That's a different debate. But it's not quite, but it's almost as important as water coming through your tap. Again, not quite. Yep. It's not quite there. But man, it's pretty darn close, and it's not going to get less important as the world goes on, as the years go on. And so I think that should be free. I think that that's something that if everybody has access to it on an equal basis, I think things get better.
That's a great answer. I'm going to take a different spin on this, though.
Cool.
Nothing.
Yep.
There's no such thing as free. Everything has a cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like Adam Smith, whoever came up with it, the economics, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Like,
yep.
And your water in your tap is not free. Someone's paying for that. Right. And you might not be paying for it directly, but inherently you are. So as I think about this, what should be free? Freedom should be free. Freedom of speech, freedom to live your life the way you want to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But when you think about it, That's the least free thing in the world. We have to defend that with the lives of our young soldiers. Like, that's so expensive. And then things like water, electricity, whatever you say should be free, well, we are paying for that. Someone is paying for that somewhere. So I don't believe, it's what we talk about in this podcast all the time. I don't believe in free. I think that it's the realization that there's trade-offs. And what are you willing to trade off?
Yeah. ...
Yeah. If there was something that should be free, it's bags on the airplane. They should not be able to charge you extra for bringing a bag on the plane. Like, charge me an extra $20 on the ticket when I buy the ticket. I hate added fees. Grumpy old man.
We talked about that in I think the previous one, we talked about the voicemail thing.
Yeah, right?
A good friend of mine sent me a text. I'm going to forget exactly what it was, but I think he said, because he listened to it, he was like, tell Ben, if you hit the star, you skip right to the end of that voicemail message and you can leave your message. I think that's what it is. There's there's a quick hack or a quick shortcut, which I laughed at. I don't disagree with you. I certainly agree with the idea that nothing is free, and we are paying for the water that comes through the pipes. It's just, we don't pay for it like we pay for cable, or like we pay for the internet, where we pay for it on a monthly basis to, Spectrum or whatever.
Like, here's my rant again still. Last time Heather booked a flight, when she booked it, the price was for booking the flight. And then once you booked the flight and you pay for it, you then had to pay extra to have a seat on that flight. Not pick like an upgraded seat. You had to pay extra to get a seat. Like, any seat you had to pay extra for. It's getting crazy, like the added fees on these things. So it's not that it should be free. It's what shouldn't you have to pay extra for? Maybe that's what the question should be. What should you not have to pay extra for?
Yeah.
And for you, it would be internet access. I love that answer.
Yeah. I like that kind of that twist or that pivot on that question. That is, what are you willing to trade?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not, but yeah, I like that. That's a more accurate way to think about it. Cool. Take it. Next question. What is an obvious lie you think we all accept to make each other feel good?
Okay, I'll go first on this one.
Yep.
All right, I'll do the same thing I did in the last one, which take this really high level, esoteric. Almost everything is a lie. The value of money.
Okay. Unpack that.
Laws are made up and not real. Governments. A country, the United States, is made up. The United States is a lie. It doesn't exist. It's not a real thing. We just all agree that it is a thing. And we agree that if you step over this line, you're in a different country. Corporations, everything is just, it's all lies and made up. Okay, now that's the Ben Bergeron answer. Now the more...
does that make you feel like, just out of curiosity, because I'm there with you, but like, is that a good thing that we're able to tell ourselves these stories and then create these things?
Yes. No, those are good lies. Those are very good. Without those lies in place, religion, without those things that we like all agree upon, like money made it so much easier, right? Because before you had to go like, hey, I have this.
How many
fur.
goats is that worth?
You have this mug. You have this mug. I'll trade you this fur for that mug. And people go like, no way. This thing's worth like, this fur is worth 15 mugs. And it's like, the money thing helped out a lot, right? Laws help out a lot. Religion helps out a lot. Government helps out a lot. So they're good. It makes us feel good. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying we shouldn't have these things, but the understanding of what we accept as reality, pull the curtain back a little bit, because it's not reality. It's just agreed upon
stories,
belief systems.
Yep.
Okay. But the more fun answer is,
it's a pretty fun answer.
Here's one that we say. I'll do one that we say to ourselves, and I'll do one that we say to each other. So the one that we do to ourselves is, it's a lie, but we say, if I just had more time, I would ... If I just had more time, I'd be so healthy. I'd go to the gym all the time. If I just had more time, I'd write a book. If I just had more time, I would spend more time with my kids. That's a lie. We just do it because it pacifies ourselves into the really harsh judgment that you have enough time. You're choosing to do the other stuff. That's a harsh reality for a lot of people to kind of accept. Like, it's so much easier for me to say, I don't have the time to be at my kid's soccer practice. You do have the time to be at your kid's soccer practice. You're choosing to do the alternative. So that's a lie we tell ourselves. The next one is what we tell other people, but we don't actually mean it. I think we really do think we mean it when we say it, which is, after someone experiences a tragedy, like the loss of a loved one, we say, like, call anytime, I'm there for you, anything you need. And I actually don't, I think sometimes that's true when you're saying to someone you really do care about, but people actually do that as, like, at the end of a condolence letter or an email. They're like, reach out anytime, I'm there to do anything. You're like, great, could you pick up my kids from soccer at 3:00 and bring them home and give them a shower and get them ready for bed? And because I could really, it's like, oh, actually, I have my own kids. It's like, but it makes us feel good to say we're there for you to do anything. Again, like, if you're doing that with, like, someone in your family, you actually do mean it. But I think people throw that out, like, call anytime, reach out with anything. We don't mean with anything. We mean reach out with the stuff that I'm willing to help out with.
Which is a less nice thing to put at the end of a condolence letter.
But it makes us and the other person feel good. I'm here to help to do anything. You think I'm here to help out to do anything. Cool. We agree. It's not the truth, but we both feel good that that's where we're at in this relationship.
Got it.
What do you got?
Okay, so I think what's an obvious lie you think we all accept to make each other feel good? I think my answer is that it's kind of half a lie, and that's this idea that, like, that we need to kind of love and accept ourselves fully, and I think that that's half a lie. And the idea being, like, you've got to love and accept yourself fully, and that's how you become happy. That's how whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I think that that's half true. I think the other half of it, though, without it, it becomes a lie. And the other part of it is that you still have to want to get better. And by which I mean, like, it's not enough to just be self-satisfied, at least in my opinion. It's not enough to just be self-satisfied, to love yourself fully, to accept yourself fully. Yes, you have to do that. But then you also need to push yourself. Then you also need to say, that's not enough. Right. Or in however way you would describe that or define that, I'm still going to push myself toward better. And without that second half, the idea that we're just here to love ourselves and accept ourselves fully, that is a lie. And I think that's a lie we tell ourselves to feel better. And we tell ourselves to feel better so that we don't have to go through the discomfort of saying, yeah, but I could be more. I could be something.
Yeah, I like that. That's I think people misinterpret that, and that's what leads to it. So when people says, like, you have to love yourself, they hear that as you're saying, like, you don't need to try harder. It's like, if you're 100 pounds overweight, it means you don't need to change that. And that's not what it means. But I think people misinterpret it as that. What it means is, don't judge yourself along the journey. That's what loving yourself means, is, like, we all have faults. We all have bad thoughts run through our head. We all make mistakes. Everyone in the world has something that they could be guilty for. So what we need to do is not let that We have to love ourselves regardless of those conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it doesn't mean don't continue to strive to be better.
Yep.
But it's really hard to continue to strive to be better if you don't allow yourself the freedom to make the mistakes and know that it's going to be a bumpy road,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have some bad thoughts. And because what people do is they take the other side and they're not satisfied. They don't love where they are. They push really hard, and they push and push and push and push, and they get to where they want to be, and they're still not happy. Yeah. It's like, that's why I like what you said about it's a half truth.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And the way we talk about it a lot here is you putting your ladder up against the wrong wall. And I think if you don't have the first half of that, if you don't learn at least to love and accept yourself more, then when you go out and try to make yourself better, you'll end up pushing towards something that isn't actually going to make you better, right? Because you've missed the first half. You've missed the first part of that equation, which is you've got to accept yourself as for who you are, so that you can then, when you push in the right direction, and you don't go push in the direction that whatever your dad wishes you pushed in, or society does, or social media or whatever. Because that thinking, then if I do that, then I'll accept myself. When I'm that person, then I'll accept myself. It doesn't work like that. You've got to accept yourself first, so that you know where to go. And then you go as hard as you can.
Right. So, the Buddha says that life is suffering. And what I mean by that is, like, we all have these, like, this chatter in our heads that's like constant levels of fill in the blank: anxiety, doubt, insecurities, fears, regrets, whatever it is. And that's what we constantly live like that. And the love yourself thing is like, get past that part. It's just get past that part. And you get past that part, you can, as you're saying, be your true self and do what you want that will create a fulfilled life for you.
Mm-hmm. Next question. What advice would you give a teenager about to start high school?
You're up.
Me first. So we've done a question like this similar to on HopperTalk. I forget which episode, one of the earlier ones. But I think it was just focused on like, what would you tell a teenager or something like that? So this is a little bit more specific. And I think I prefaced my answer then as, and I'll do it again, which is like, anybody telling a teenager advice is they're just telling themselves something that they wish they had listened to or understood at that period of life. And that's very much what my answer or my advice is. This is the thing that I wish most desperately that I heard, and that I heard deeply enough to understand, and that I understood enough to actually act upon, because I absolutely did not. And the piece of advice is, don't make or not make decisions based in fear. When I think about high school, when I think about especially that kind of going into high school, because I went into a new high school, I didn't know anybody, and I was shy and quiet and all the things that make going into a new high school even harder. And I think about all the things that I did or didn't do, and so many of them were just purely out of fear of whatever the thing is that I thought it was going to happen. And so thinking about advice I would give a teenager, and it's hard to give somebody going into high school, and it's hard to understand this, obviously, as a whatever age that is, 13, 14. But if you could really get yourself to understand, not that fear is going to happen, because it is, but do as well as you can. Don't make decisions solely because you're scared of what might happen, or don't make decisions because you're scared of the alternative. Making decisions based out of fear will get you nowhere you want to go. I think about myself again, because this is very much the advice that I wish I understood. I got two big things in high school that happened in the first. Well, one happened in the first year, but then the rest kind of chased me. But the first is that baseball was always the sport that I loved the most going into high school. And this was a very tight knit kind of baseball team that I walked into. And because I was new, because I was quiet, because whatever other reason, I ended up being kind of the kid everybody picked on and made fun of on that baseball team. And I let it crushed me, and I quit after freshman year. I couldn't stomach the idea of going back to it sophomore year. And it was the sport that that was the sport I loved the most. And I was lucky. I kind of fell into track and field, and I was good enough at that, and I had some fun with that. So I don't, so the story doesn't end poorly, but like I look back at that and I think the only reason I quit was because I was scared of what would happen again, or scared that freshman year would repeat itself. And that sucks. And then the other thing that I always think about in high school is every time I would go to a school play or a musical or a performance of some kind, I would sit in the audience and I would think the entire time, I want to go and do that thing. I want to be up there. And I never let myself get close to doing that. And that sucks, because who knows what could have happened. If nothing else, I would have had a lot of fun. Right. And so those are the two big things when I think about high school, where I made a decision, or I didn't make a decision, purely out of fear. And I wish that I had not.
Man. Yeah, I can relate to a lot of that.
Yeah.
That's, I think a lot of kids would benefit from that advice.
I wish I knew how
not even kids, because people carry that still.
Totally.
Right.
I wish I knew how to translate that into, again, just thinking about the high school kid. Like, I wish I knew how to translate that into something tangible for that 13, 14-year-old. Cause it's a big thing. Fear is going to be present. It's going to be omnipresent, but what do you do with it? Like, I still feel like I struggle with how not to make decisions based on fear, even now. Yeah. And I think about myself as a 13, like and maybe I'll throw it out to you just because we're talking about it. Like how do you turn that into something real? Especially for a 13, 14-year-old. I wish I knew.
What do you mean by turn it into something real?
Well, like actually not make decisions based on fear. Like actually figure out, or maybe just like check yourself. Am I doing this purely out of fear? Is there something that I want to be doing that I'm not letting myself doing? Whatever it might be. I don't know. Just some way, like, because again, 13, 14, like it's hard enough to get them to understand these things, because it's just hard to. But then like, okay, great. Yeah, I understand fear. I should avoid that. Wow. Like, what does that mean for next Tuesday?
Yeah. I mean, it's, so it's boldness, courage, confidence, right? It's being courageous. That's what it really means, because the fear isn't going to go away. Right. And, courage isn't the lack of fear. It's having fear and acting anyway. So it really becomes a matter of how do you create courage?
Yeah. How do you, yep. Spot on.
And I think that, that might be a segue into my piece of advice in a way. So the advice I would give to a teenager about to start high school is the experiences you're about to have a single purpose. And that is for you to learn, grow, and evolve from them. And that's the same advice I would give to anybody. I actually think that's one of the more powerful things that you can understand is that is the purpose of life. Is the purpose of life is for us to have experiences, not sunshine, rainbows, awesome experiences. It's to have experiences. And what we need to be able to do is learn, grow, and evolve from those experiences. So a kid, especially, thinks everything that happens to them is the most important thing that's happening in the world. Yeah. So somebody says something about them on social media and their world falls apart. They are walking through the cafeteria and they trip and spill their entire lunch all over and everyone laughs at them. And it's horrifying. They get up to give a presentation and they have a stuttering problem and their world folds on top of itself. We are supposed to have, this is kind of like the bigger, higher thing again, is as human beings, as every living thing on planet Earth, everything on planet Earth is here for a single purpose, and that is to evolve. It's just to continue the perpetual motion of betterment and betterment and betterment until hopefully we maybe find utopia or heaven on earth or whatever it might be, but that is what we're trying to do, is mind, body, and soul continue to evolve. There is one really powerful way so you could do that through, so evolve mind, body, and soul and spirit, whatever you want to call it. You could do that through a bunch of different practices. Like you could meditate, you could journal, you could walk in the woods, you could go become a monk, but the real way to do it is to have experiences with that perspective. Mm-hmm. It's that perspective. When you have that perspective, all of a sudden you have a North Star for why life is happening to you the way it is. And the more challenging life becomes, the faster you learn, grow, and evolve. If you have that perspective. If you don't, man, like all you can see is the mountain in front of you that you need to climb. That's all you see. But if you have the perspective of what this means, it's Nietzsche's thing, with enough why, you can experience anyhow. So what you need to do is understand the whys. Why do people make fun of me? Patrick, on the freshman year of baseball team. Why are they making fun of you, Patrick? And the reason is this is happening to you on purpose so you can grow. If this wasn't here, you'd still have those insecurities. You'd still be walking around. This needs to happen now. And your freshman year of high school, this needs to happen so we can grow from this. Mm-hmm. And when you have that perspective, it gives a why to it. And then we can tolerate it. And we don't have this crazy amounts of mass teen suicide and depression and medications that kids are on because they can't understand why these things would happen to them. And parents can't understand it. Why would this happen to my kid? What? It's going to happen. It's actually happening on purpose. It's a gift. This is being given to you. So when you're late for a meeting, this happened the other week for me. I went home. I was able to go home really quickly for lunch. Actually, it's because I forgot my lunch. But I forgot my lunch. I had to leave the gym, go home, grab lunch really quickly. I had to scoot back to the gym. As I'm going to turn in the kitchen, I hit my Tupperware on the corner of the fridge and my entire lunch spills all over the floor. And right away I go, ha! I was actually kind of like, this is cool. This stuff is working. I went and I'm late for a meeting as it is. I go, ha! This is happening on purpose. It's telling me this is can you stay calm? Can you stay present? Can you not get more anxious because this is happening? It's happening on purpose. This is happening for you to learn right now. Right now. If this happened when you weren't in a rush, you wouldn't learn as much. But this is why it's happening. So you can recognize triggers. You can recognize the disturbances. You can recognize the resistance you have. You can recognize the emotional responses and grow. Learn. Become a greater being.
Something similar just happened to me actually a couple of days ago. And I had the similar response, and I was happy with it, which is we were coming back from a little vacation and we were at the airport. TSA took forever. And so we got to the gate 5 minutes before the flight was supposed to take off, and they had closed the doors. They weren't letting us on. And I'd never missed a flight before, which doesn't mean anything other than that was the first. And let me just say, I was the calmest one there of the group of people who weren't being let on the plane. And I recognized it in that moment. I mean, partially because I could see what the alternative response to this situation was. I was like, I'm not that. Yeah. So that's good.
And it's okay to be that. It's okay to be that. But if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't let it take more than 5 minutes. Because that's what if something bad happens, it's human nature to have that's what's kept us alive. It's a fight or flight response.
Yep.
You're supposed to have a really quick gut internal emotional reaction. That's totally fine. What we can't do is hold on to it and let it eat us up. We let it go in 5 minutes. So if you go like, God, I can't believe we missed that flight. This sucks. I can't believe I'm going to miss my kids, ...
Yep.
Okay. Who wants to go get some food? Okay. Got a few more minutes to work on that presentation. Okay. Whoo. We can be overnight. Like, you guys want to go watch a movie? like that's all. That's what you need to do. That's fine.
What for your lunch disaster? What was other than kind of taking a deep breath? Did you just say, okay, I guess I'm not eating today? Or like, what was the floor? How did you spin?
I'm a savage. I picked up the floor, put it back in the Tupperware, and left the door and ate it when I got here.
Attaboy. Good job. Okay. I love it.
5 minute rule. Patrick. 5 minutes rule.
5 minute rule. Absolutely. And my story actually has a happy ending because it was raining at the time. And so we went to where you go kind of change whatever, I forget what they call it, rebooking. And we stood in line for 5 or 10 minutes, tried to figure out if we could get another flight. And then the gate agent came and found us and said, come on, let's go. And they let us back on the plane. So we got lucky because it was raining.
Happy ending.
So we ended up getting home on time. All right. Last question we've got for this episode of HopperTalk. What is something that is associated with intelligence that should not be? You go first.
The ability to read fast and read well. So people that go like, somebody can read a book really fast. That has nothing to do with intelligence. It's a skill set that could maybe be associated with it, because if you read really fast, you could have the ability to absorb more information, but reading fast has nothing to do with absorption or reading comprehension. Or increase of knowledge or intelligence at all. It's just a correlate to it. And you see that a lot. And the second one, which is kind of similar, is public speaking. Somebody that is very good at public speaking doesn't mean they know what they're talking about. It means that they've honed their presentation skills. They're an actor. Like, an actor is a phenomenal public speaker. It does not mean that they are intelligent. But you see, people speak really well. And they're like, that's a really smart guy. Like, wow, look how well they present. So those are my two. I think one is because I'm not a fast reader, so it irks me.
Yeah.
And the next is I feel like I'm a fairly decent public speaker, but don't associate that with me being smart.
I like it. My answer was very much on the back of the previous question, and I just couldn't get my head off of it, which is, I think one thing that is associated with intelligence that shouldn't be is good grades.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I know what it means. Because where I thought I thought your answer was going to be because of that last one was confidence.
That's interesting.
Confidence confident people seem really like they got it all together. They're really smart. And it's not. Like, you could be confident and be empty inside.
Yeah. I think charisma is dangerous.
Charisma would be the better word there. Which is kind of like the public speaking thing a little bit, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I thought about good grades. I think good grades are invented to create fear and compliance in kids. It's the only reason grades are necessary. It's because I need to scare you enough that you pay attention to this thing that you inherently don't care about, so that I need to scare you with this idea of failure. And so I'm going to give you grades, and that's how we're going to judge you based on, we're going to judge your intelligence. But man, like I was a solid B- student my whole life. And
look at you now.
And look at me now. I have a podcast. So haha.
Haha, world. It's like the Einstein's. He's like, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
That's right.
Right. It's like you put these kids that could be studs, like amazing world changers, and you put them in these little tiny desks and ask them to recite facts back to you or comprehend equations. It's like, that's not what this person was put on earth to do. And yet we lay this entire judgment on the entirety of the worth of this kid in society based off their ability to this very, very peculiar skill set.
Right.
Which is, it's all based off of the, the Industrial Revolution, which is like, let's teach kids
Cogs
to be cogs. Exactly.
Yeah.
We got to give them a certain skill set that they can then be inserted into X, Y, or Z place in the manufacturing plant so that they can do this thing and so on. It has nothing to do with ability to be an entrepreneur, a world changer, a great dad, or, as you said, like intelligence in general. It's one specific skill set.
Yeah. You have more experience in this than I do, but I think about it, and obviously it will come. How do you talk about, deal with grades in the Bergeron house? Like, think about the older kids. Obviously they're kind of moving beyond that, but the littles are coming up on it. How do you and Heather think about it, look at it, treat grades?
Well, it's really interesting. So for a little background, so Heather and I, Heather has a son and a daughter who I'm a step parent to. And they are a senior in high school and a senior in college. Both of them get terrific grades. Maya is on the academic honor roll. She's a D1 athlete. She's on the academic honor roll as a double major. Jonah is applying to college right now. He got straight A's the last one. Neither one of them started out that way at all. They were both had really hard times in school. We take probably a little bit different approach than the other side of their family does. But when they come home with straight A's, we say, nice, glad you worked hard. We don't care about grades. And we come home with bad grades. We said, as long as you worked hard, we don't care about grades. Because we don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to judge someone's self-worth, which is what you're going to end up doing. You're going to pretend like, no, it's just about work ethic and school. And no, it's the fish in the tree. So I don't want to lay any extra judgment on that kid, based off that. Now, work ethic is something different. Like, I want our kids to have the discipline to be able to do the work. I want them to, and sometimes you don't like the work, but you still got to do the work. That's what discipline is. Doing something you don't like you love it. So that's a different thing, but the results are outside their control. Effort, preparation, in your control. Grades, results, outside your control. Why would I ever reward somebody for great job? You made it sunshine today. Awesome. I'm so glad you made the sunshine today. Completely outside their control. And punish them every day it rained. Like,
yep.
It's John Wooden stuff of like, you could prepare your athletes as good as you could possibly do it. They could work for the entire season, the entire 4 years of their career with you. They could do everything perfect and they still might not win a game. Like, that's actual reality. They might, because you might have a bunch of, like, playing basketball, maybe everyone on the team is 5'1". Like, you're not going to win a lot of games. Right. It's just the nature of it. But if you judge people based off of the results on the scoreboard, when that's just not what they're set up to do, they could be trying their hardest. Like, well, why? And likewise, this is my brother growing up. My brother was brilliant. Went to Georgetown as a math major and got perfect scores on his SATs. He never worked He never worked at all in high school. He never did anything. He's just gifted. So why are you going to reward him for doing like amazing in school when he didn't do anything? He didn't do anything. He played video games all high school. It makes no sense.
What's he doing now, though? Is he still playing video games?
I don't know, actually. He's got little kids now, like little kids, so probably not. Yeah. He's probably just trying to find time to sleep.
All right, man. That was fun as always. HopperTalk. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. Thank you for your ratings and your reviews. Ben and I will be back next week for another episode of Chasing Excellence. You can get every episode of Chasing Excellence wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Until next time, thank you for listening.